We can flip a coin.
Yeah, I don't have one. I'll go first.
Okay.
I was just, trying to be polite, which,
No, you can go.
Okay, I'll go first. And it's just something actually you and I have discussed before.
Okay.
But I want to see if I can get my point across.
Okay.
Does that make sense? Because I don't think I ever have been able to get my point across. And it is a very touchy subject for some people.
Okay.
And that is this idea of ugly.
The idea of ugly.
Yeah.
Okay.
And that is not the right word. I am using that word like a grain of salt, just so you know. More along the lines of unattractive, I guess, or not attractive or ugly.
Okay, I'm going to cut you off because I'm cutting you off because unattractive, ugly, any of those, it's beauty is in the eye of the beholder.
I agree. But can you agree that there is a collective beholder? Like there is a society standard, whether we want to admit it or not.
I agree with that.
Okay. And I'm not saying, and this is where we always get into trouble in this conversation. I'm not asking you to agree that I am ugly. That is not what I'm asking of you. And I'm not saying I'm ugly. I'm just saying that when we go through life, I deal with a different reaction from people than you would. And it's not a bad reaction, right? Like people are not like repulsed by me. And I don't think anybody should be repulsed by anybody, because that is not open-mindedness, I feel.
I agree.
It is okay for me to say, of all the hot men in the world, Matthew McConaughey isn't my cup of tea. He's attractive, don't get me wrong, but if I had to pick between Matthew McConaughey and say, oh gosh, like somebody, Miles Kennedy, who is a lead singer, I'd take Miles Kennedy every time. I'd probably be nearly the only woman in the world that would do that. But that's just because beauty is in the eyes of the beholder. And I'm not saying Matthew McConaughey isn't gorgeous, but.
Well, and it's like the idea of what makes someone attractive, right? Like my mother, who she's out there on her own planet.
Yeah.
Prior to the news of who and what Woody Allen is with his daughter, she thought he was hot.
Yeah.
And he's not. I would never define Woody Allen as hot. Take his weird situation with his daughter and like that's its own, and I could see how that could make him, and that made him ugly to my mother, right? Yeah. Like prior to that, she thought, she was like, I was so attracted to his mind, which takes you into a whole nother realm, which I think now we have a word for it, which is being pansexual, right? Like if you were legitimately attracted to someone's mind and the gender doesn't matter, male, female, trans, and it's all about their spirit or who they are, then that's totally different. But I think that what you're talking about is physical.
I'm not only talking about physical, but yes. So there's just random things that come to mind. And it's funny because one of them does apply to the two of us. We were in San Diego because it's 1,000 degrees in Phoenix in the summer. We decided to get away. It was you and I only. We went to San Diego. Lovely time. Walking down the street. A famous Wilson brother. Right?
Luke Wilson. No, not Luke. Hold on.
It was Luke. It was the dark-haired one. Yeah. Walking down the street, he hits his friend. Oh my God, that girl is gorgeous. He's talking about you. Now, I don't need that in my life when I'm standing next to you, or even when I'm just walking down the street. In that instance, I'm sort of indifferent, right? Yes, you are gorgeous. I think you're gorgeous, but I also know you as a person, and I'm in love with your mind, just so you know. But but also, so things like that don't bother me. It's the flip side of that. When I am sitting in a restaurant with another beautiful girl, and this guy wants to see if I'm as good looking as my friend, and then he tells his friends, "Oh no," and I'm like, really? Really?
Has
I
that
mean,
actually happened to
yes,
you?
of course it has, Freedom. I have never been told I am ugly. So, I mean, I've been told I am unattractive more times than anyone I know, except for you, because you said, and this is what's so funny about this conversation. Your quote to me was, I used to get told that all the time when I was out on modeling jobs. I'm like, fuck yeah. Okay, great. Yes, of course. In a modeling job, someone's going to tell you that. Sitting in a restaurant, eating your lunch, minding your own business, probably shouldn't happen. But I'm just saying, it's, I guess the point I wanted to communicate to you, and then to whoever else might be eavesdropping on our conversation, is that we don't all experience the same things, as you know. But when someone says to you, oh man, I am not someone else's cup of tea, and that happens to be a huge exponential number in society, don't discount it, right? They've probably dealt with things just like I've never dealt with what it's like to be a Black woman. I have no idea. I don't have to deal with that. So I don't want to discount your experiences.
Sure.
Because I'm not lived in your skin, right? And so when we go through our daily experiences and someone says, oh no, I'm not going to wear a swimsuit, I guarantee you there's a reason. Right? Someone has told them, in my case, my mom, I was never her cup of tea, always comparing me to other people. My mom actually once told me it was too bad I didn't look more like one of my friends. Yeah, I guess it is too bad. It's too bad. Oh well. So that was the one thing, is like, I know I talk about what I look like in our conversations a lot, but it's not, for you to say, oh no, that's not true or whatever. That's not an issue to me. I'm really happy with who I am for the most part. There's days when I forget things and I feel I'm getting old, and that stresses me out a little, but in general, I'm like, you know what? I'm a nice person. I try and pick the correct path for my community. I'm really happy with who I am, but I'm not gonna be the, you know, the star or the model or it's just not it's not gonna happen.
So let me acknowledge two things.
Okay.
One is I hear you.
Oh,
Of being dismissed, because it is your experience. And I think when we are friends with someone and we see them in a certain light, and I say we collectively,
yeah,
that we want them to see themselves the way we see them. And it's annoying that other people don't see it as well. So, but you're right. There is something to be said about acknowledging that someone feels the way that they do.
mm-hmm.
That doesn't mean I'm not going to at least say how I feel, that I just don't agree.
Right.
But it's not a matter of discounting the feeling either. And I know that's a very gray area and a slippery slope. I also think part of the problem is, you mentioned societal standards, and societal standards are unhealthy. They're unhealthy. That's end of story. What we see as beautiful in the United States specifically, and it probably is more on a global scale now that we have Instagram and Facebook and TikTok and all the other areas that we can now see what beautiful, I say in air quotes, is, but women And men are starting to, I mean, I'd read a while ago that men are starting to get pec implants. They're doing all these horrific plastic surgeries and calf implants. Women are now getting this Brazilian butt lift, which is actually an incredibly, so I heard another podcast, they were interviewing a doctor and he was saying, a plastic surgeon, they tend to ask you when you're getting a consultation of a plastic surgery, what do you want to look like? Bring pictures. And he said, as soon as people bring in Kim Kardashian or Cardi B, and then they say, I want to look like this, but I want to look natural. And he's like, but that's not natural. That's the problem.
Yeah.
They weren't naturally built this way. So it's an oxymoron. It's like to look quote unquote natural, yet only look the way you can look that way with plastic surgery. It does. And he tries to explain this to people and they don't get it. And they go through these expensive surgeries, painful. And he's like, people are dying because they were going to these quack doctors. He's like, if someone's doing a Brazilian butt lift for $5,000, run. And so we're literally willing to kill ourselves in order to meet this ideal of beauty. And I think that the epidemic and the issue in our country, or even across, again, I'm sure it's not just in the United States, but probably more pervasive here, is we're so wrapped up into this idea of beauty. I mean, I'll be honest, even this morning, I was on Reddit or one of them, and I follow this skin cream, it's like skincare for 30 plus. And this woman posted a picture of herself and she blocked out her eyes. It was just like her lower half of her face. And she said, she was asking people a question about plastic surgery to have her lips fixed. And all the comments were like, you're beautiful. She had to have maybe been in her 20s, if I guess. And there was nothing wrong. Absolutely nothing. But one comment, the woman said, save your because she said, I have a budget of $5,000. Who recommends what?
Yeah.
And one woman said, hang on to your 5,000 and put it in a fund so that when you're in your 40s, you can look at getting this half facelift thing. So of course, then I Google that because I'm like, well, what is this? I've never heard of this. And it's plastic surgery. It's a half facelift. It's only half of your face.
Oh my God. No.
And it was the price range is $20,000 to $50,000. And my immediate thought was, I need to put aside $20,000 to $50,000.
Oh my God. Freedom.
I thought, you know what? I didn't have children.
Yeah.
I didn't have to pay for college. I don't think I need it now, but in the future. And then it's like, what is the fuck is wrong with me? How about I just accept and embrace that I'm going to age. I'm going to have wrinkles. My skin is going to sag. I'm going to gain weight. That doesn't mean that I'm not going to work out and eat healthy and do the things that I need just to feel good on a daily basis. But why are wrinkles bad? Like, those are signs of how much we've lived
and wisdom
and wisdom. And what's straight. Let me just say this one other thing that I think it's fascinating too, because I'll see images of women in their 70s or 80s and they're beautiful to me. Now, whether we don't know if they've had work, it's not something, you just see pictures, who knows, but it's like, I don't look at a woman in her 70s or 80s with wrinkles and white hair and go, oof, like, no.
Yeah. But you know what? Look at your mom. Your mom looks pretty amazing, don't you think?
Black don't crack.
That's what I'm saying. But not only that, I mean, your mom has aged, right? How old's your mom?
67, I believe.
Okay. She's 67 years old. She probably outmaneuver me at this point. I mean, she was always going. She's talented. Of course, this is probably one of the issues that we have, and I'm not blaming men because we all know how much I love men. It's an unfortunate side effect of being a heterosexual woman is we love men.
And that's and if you don't mind, then that will kind of take us into the next topic.
Absolutely. But the thing about men is men and women are different, and men, maybe due to what they're taught and what society has communicated over these years and what they're locked into. So I'm not going to blame individual men. I'm saying the collective think tank has promoted men judge visually first all the time. And that is,
there's a reason for that.
Yeah, agreed. I do agree.
I mean, they've done studies on this where they even go into the jungles of the Amazon where these men have no contact with Western society or culture
or Instagram
and men, what they have decided, and again, this was, one study I read, so it's not the end all be all by any means, but men look for women who have an hourglass shape because intrinsically they're looking to breed. Essentially, they're looking to procreate, and women who have hips, and just in their prehistoric, like they're looking for a woman to have children with.
Yeah, unless they're looking at 55-year-olds who are not having children, which case the good news in all of this is my ass for the first time in my life is obviously going to be my best asset in the coming years, which I am really excited about. I've got a natural better butt than those two girls. You just naturally huge and round. Who knew?